One of the best things about open sourcing our code is it allows you as a student to easily just jump in and reference this code while you're going through it in the course. So what that means is when you get stuck, you might want to see exactly what our entire project looks like at that time. So let's give an example. Let's say, for instance, you're in the course itself. So here's the roadmap. Let's go down to the products component. So if I click on products component, I'll actually see some stuff that's related to it. And I've got these different lessons here that have obviously different titles, and we can actually work through these lessons. Let's say, for instance, you're on the detail view, but for some reason, you're getting a lot of errors. So we're in this section of products component in lesson 6, but I'm getting a lot of errors and I'm not really sure why. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my video. I'm going to stop the lecture right there, the lesson right there, and I'm going to jump in to github.com/codingforentrepreneurs or simply joincfe.com/GitHub, and it's going to take me here. Now, I'm in the e-commerce course, so I'm going to go into my repositories and I'm going to look for e-commerce. So I can quickly do a search for e-commerce, and you're going to see a few different ones. Now, e-commerce archived is not it, right? That's not the name of our project. Our project's name is e-commerce. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And notice the time, right? That's another thing. If you click on one of these older ones, you'll see, hey, it hasn't been updated since 2014. That's probably not the one we're working with. E-commerce 2 hasn't been updated since 2016. Okay, that's probably not the one we're going to work with. E-commerce, the final one, the actual one we're working with, has been updated, in this case, 2 hours ago. That's obviously what we've done. So now that we remember our section is the products component, and then the title of our lecture is detail view. So if I scroll down and look at the different lesson code, I've got section, products component, and detail view. So I can actually click on that, and this takes me to that code at that time. If I click on the source for it, I can actually see all of the code that's in here. Now, none of this is going to make sense just yet, but I wanted to bring it to your attention so you can always reference this code. So if you're on this lesson and you get problems, you can go on here and click and take a look at what we've done. You can copy and paste it. You can do whatever you need to do to make sure that what you're doing in the lesson is the same as what we actually did. One other thing I will say is, when we go back to that main repository where the lesson code is, when you click on one of these, it's actually the code that's at the very end of that video. So if you get some issues right before that video, so if you're on lesson 10, featured and custom query sets, and right away you're having issues, I would jump in to lesson 9 and take a look there. That is actually pretty important. And the last most important thing is, when you are looking for the lessons, you're going to want to make sure that this line is nice and clean. What I mean is, if I click on one of these, I see that I have a different tree here, or I have all this other stuff. You want to make sure that when you're clicking on those, you're going to the main one or the most recent commit. Otherwise, you might even be looking at old code that has some issues with it. And in some cases, you won't even see code for the lesson because there might not be any, or any new code for that matter. So we actually do as best we can to make sure that the code that's relevant to that lesson is on here and it's actually showing up as needed. Okay, cool. So if you have any questions on how GitHub works, please let us know in the comments below. What I will say though is a lot of this stuff is going to make more sense when you run into issues. Like if you run into an issue and you use GitHub to solve that issue, that's when it's really going to come in handy. Otherwise, it's just good to know that in the future, even if you forgot some stuff, you can just look back at the code and say, oh, wow, cool. I can just jump right back in and learn more about what I may have missed, or just use this as a general reference. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, let's keep going.